Well, I think the president's statement, which I did read and aware of both he and the vice president's news conference, was pretty clear to degrade and destroy the capability of ISIL to come after U.S. interests all over the world and our allies. However way he addressed that later in the news conference, I wasn't aware of that. But our mission, as you've asked us, what that mission is, based on what the Commander-in-Chief has asked of us, is to provide him those options and those plans to accomplish the mission of destroy and degrade the capability of ISIS. We are doing that, as the President said, not just militarily, because that is but one component, and the President's been very clear on that point, but it also requires a stable, new, inclusive government in Iraq, which we are hopeful will be in place next week. It is the people of Iraq, the people of the Middle East, that will make their ultimate decisions and determine their future. We can support them. It's also bringing a group with us of like-minded countries that appreciate the threat that ISIL represents to all of us, and I think you know many of the countries, France, Great Britain, Canada, Australia, Albania, others, to bring that coalition with us. That's another part of it. Authorizations, airstrikes, budget issues. The President's been very clear he wants the Congress involved with him. We've been consulting with the Congress. So it's all of those components, but the mission is very clearly, and we're providing the President with those options to degrade and destroy ISIL's capability.
That's the end game. Degrade and destroy, not contain.
No, it's not contain. It's exactly what the President said. Degrade and destroy.
I want to talk about the threat to the U.S. homeland in particular from ISIS, because there have been mixed signals from the administration as to how imminent and severe that threat is. 2 weeks ago, you said ISIS is, quote, an imminent threat to every interest we have. And you went on to say it's unlike any threat we've ever seen. After your comments, the administration seemed to pull back somewhat. You had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff describe it as a regional threat, something the president did later that same week, in fact last Thursday, saying that ISIS poses an immediate threat to the people of Iraq and the people of the region. He did not say immediate threat to the U.S. homeland. This is key. We have many folks back home wondering what threat it poses to them and their families. Is it an imminent threat to the U.S. homeland or to the region?
Well, first of all, I didn't say homeland. I said to U.S. interests.
But you said an imminent threat to every interest we have.
That's right. I didn't say homeland. I said to all of our interests. Look at what just happened 24 hours ago on the latest video of another citizen as to what ISIL did. It is a threat. ISIL is a threat to this country, to our interests. Obviously, Prime Minister Cameron of Great Britain made that pretty clear a couple of days ago. President of the United States has said they are a threat. The Attorney General of the United States has said it in similar language. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Director of National Intelligence. So these are very real threats, or if they weren't real threats, then the President wouldn't be giving us the mission to go out and degrade and destroy the capability of ISIL.
No question. I'm not denying that officials have said it's a threat. The specific question is it a threat to the U.S. homeland at this stage, or is that a distant potential threat? And for now, ISIS is focused largely on gains in Iraq and Syria.
Well, I think, Jim, part of that answer is, as we have acknowledged publicly, we are aware of over 100 U.S. citizens who have U.S. passports who are fighting in the Middle East with ISIL forces. There may be more. We don't know. We can't take a chance, Jim, on saying, well, let's technically define this. Is it a real threat today or tomorrow, or is it going to be in 6 months? That's the way the threats don't work in little neat boxes and emanate on our time frame. They emanate on their time frame, and the President's point being to degrade and destroy their capabilities so that it doesn't get to your question.